Whenever I search for a new camera on YouTube, I'm really looking for examples of how people use that camera and what they create. Show me how you use a camera and what you've made with it. That's really what I'm interested in, is the end product. That's exactly what this is. A weekend with the Canon R6 Mark II, where I shot tons of travel footage just to document our trip, which is something I normally do. I even shot some wildlife photos and videos, which is not something I would normally do. And on top of that, an engagement session during one of the evenings that we were there. We took a trip to Monterey, Carmel area for Yaz's birthday and to escape the heat here in Central California. We stayed at the Portola Hotel and Spa in Monterey, California. It has an absolutely beautifully designed lobby. The rooms are nice, but this lobby is really stunning, and both Yaz and I loved it. For reference, this is the exact setup that I brought and that I use really daily for content creation and for trips like this. The Canon R6 Mark II with an EF 24-70. Sometimes I'll switch out the lenses, but this one is really my workhorse lens. And I will use a Peter McKinnon Polar Pro 2 to 5 stop VND with mist as well. All the footage and the photos that I take are handheld. I don't like to take tripods with me unless I'm going to shoot a time lapse. Outside of that, I'm shooting everything handheld. And as always with this camera, I'm turning in-body image stabilization off because I do not want that Canon wobble in my footage at all. Anytime we're in the area, Big Sur is on the list. It's about an hour drive from Carmel, Monterey area. And so we took Yaz's brother and his girlfriend with us to just kind of adventure around. We didn't plan anything crazy. We just wanted to explore. One of the things that I love most about Big Sur is that you can literally pull over at any turnout, find a trail that'll take you to maybe cliffside access. Some of them, if you're adventurous enough, will even take you down to coastal access, down to the water.
You take that picture of the fog, babe.
It's really kind of cool to essentially create your own adventure and find something new every single time that you go. As you're driving down the one, what you're headed towards is really McWay Falls. McWay Falls is a famous cove where you can see this waterfall coming out of the cliffside. And it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. A lot of times it gets packed. For whatever reason, on this particular day, it was not packed. And on this particular occasion, this is where Yaz's brother ended up proposing to his girlfriend. Congrats, Luis and Ali. I wish you guys nothing but the best. It was a privilege being there with you. After adventuring around a little bit, we decided to make our way back. There's just a little deli that Yaz and I discovered on a previous trip that we absolutely love. They have some of the best pre-made sandwiches that you'll find really, I think, anywhere, but you can also get a freshly made sandwich here. We grabbed sandwiches, we took them to a turnout and just had some lunch in Big Sur and took in the sights.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Whoa.
After getting back, we freshened up, changed, got ready for dinner, and decided to make our way to Point Lobos. Point Lobos is a place that is just before Big Sur and right outside of Carmel. It is an absolutely beautiful kind of wildlife preserve. You have to pay to get in, but I think that it's worth it. It is often really packed. You will see lines of cars there throughout the day. Because we were later in the evening, it was about an hour before the park closed, we decided to go in and there was absolutely nobody there. It is effectively a mini Big Sur with, I think, a lot more wildlife concentrated there. This is a great place if you're interested in wildlife photography. There is a good concentration of birds there and other sea life that make Point Lobos home, and so it makes it really popular for this. There's also cypress trees around there, and the vegetation and landscapes that are around are absolutely beautiful. This was sort of a when in Rome kind of deal for me, where I'm not normally a wildlife photographer, but I figured, well, I have my 70-200 with me, the EF version. Why not throw it on the camera and let's see what footage and photos that I can get. This is where the Canon R6 Mark II, I think, really shines. The autofocus is absolutely incredible. Having come from the DSLR days and used 5D Mark IIs, 3s, 4s to now, and attempting at points in my career to photograph wildlife, it was a lot harder back then than it is now. Pointing the camera and a box forming around birds that are flying, sometimes fairly fast, sometimes getting caught up in the wind, but it automatically identifying them, holding focus and tracking them as I'm panning, as the birds are moving. The camera was absolutely incredible in that way. And so if you're interested in wildlife photography, full stop, I think this could be a great solution for you. EF lenses with image stabilization in the lens perform beautifully in video on the Canon R6 Mark II, and I would imagine the Canon R3, the Canon R5. If you turn the image stabilization off in the camera and just turn the image stabilization on in the lens, there's no wobble. There's no wobble whatsoever, and it stabilizes the footage pretty well. Shortly after our time at Point Lobos, we found a nearby beach. We set up this cute little blanket with some wine for Yaz's brother and new fiance. And we ended up shooting a quick little engagement session for them so they could have these photographs to remember this time. The next morning we get up and have breakfast, and we're getting ready to leave Carmel. On a previous trip we had found this beach in Carmel, and it's one of our favorites because there are typically, I think, a mix of locals and some people are on vacation who take their dogs to this beach, and it's just a beautiful place, a beautiful beach, and a good way to kind of, I think, end a trip there. And so we spent a little bit of time here at this beach before we decided to hit the road and head back home. I find, even for myself, after all these years, it's really easy to watch these videos on YouTube and to obsess about little intricacies about cameras, and is this camera going to be right for me? Is it not going to be right for me? What about this? What about that? And by the end of that, you've watched hundreds of videos and you probably feel no closer to making a decision. At the end of the day, I think that it's all about finding a piece of gear, using that gear to create what it is that you want to create, whether it's documenting your life, whether it's creating paid work for clients, to create a sustainable lifestyle for yourself. Maybe it's content creation for yourself, for businesses, for others. But in the end, it's really about using that gear and how we use it, and what do we use it for, and what is it capable of creating. And even more importantly, do you enjoy that process? And I'm finding that I really do enjoy the process. I know that I've said this over a few videos, but I'm finding that I really enjoy the process with this camera, despite its shortcomings. I love the way it looks. I love using it. I love the results that I can get from it. Does it take me some work to get to that point? Yes, it does. All the footage that you've seen is stabilized in post. Without that, it can be a little jittery. It can be unstable, maybe not the best looking. Sometimes it doesn't always stabilize the best. But for the most part, I'm getting a keeper rate that I like and that I love. And the end result is one that I like and that I love.
Oh, jeez. So much for an aesthetic video. It's so creepy. Whoops.
And I guess all of that to say, I hope this video has helped inform you about what this camera is capable of and the images that it could potentially create for you, and that you take that and get to creating for yourself. That's going to do it for me. My name is David J. Roscoe, and I will see you in the next one.